Hello, Aries. How are you? We are now in Aquarius season, and not only is the sun in Aquarius, but so is Pluto. Now, this is the second time that Pluto has been at this degree, and he will still retrograde one more time into Capricorn this summer for about 2 months. And then as of November, as of November 2024, Pluto will be permanently for the next 25 years in Aquarius. And that's when things will really start kicking off. But this first degree, he's going to pass over 3 times because he was already here last year, here now, and he will be here again in November and December of this year. So it's kind of like, when you're leaving a restaurant, you're ready to go. The first time you're like, oh, maybe I should go to the bathroom before I leave. And that was the first retrograde. And then the second one, you're like ready to go. You're leaving and you're like, oh, I forgot my umbrella. And you have to run back in. And that will be Pluto's next retrograde in September. One little thing he needed to tie up before he could leave the restaurant and move on to his next adventure. So this will be very interesting to see what happens. So let's go ahead and get the overall energy. Now, Venus is also at the galactic center today. So there may be some money flying out, love flying out, good times flying out. Keep an eye out for that where you can. All right, let's go ahead and get the overall energy for the week of January 21st. Why did that always fall on the floor? Oh, there's too many. I'm not going to take them anyway. There's like 5 down here. So let's try that again. All right, overall energy for the week of January 21st. I'm going to do more vertical so they don't fly. Okay, there we go. And I think I saw this actually while I was shuffling before. All right, so we have the Inner Peace card. And this is, the traditional koi fish here. Let's have a look at what the book says about this. Okay, so inner peace is your birthright. Tranquility occurs when you realize that life is unfolding according to divine planning. Serenity isn't something you work for or search for. It already exists within you. To find this inner peace, simplify your life, spend time in nature, and listen to the message of your soul. True peace transcends fear and connects you intimately to the Creator. Breathe deeply and fully, knowing that all is well. Right, so this is kind of the same message, how people will say happiness is a choice. So is peace of mind. You get to decide what you get worried over and whether you're going to worry over it or not. And that's the energy. Let's see what we have here. Okay, interesting. So the challenge this week is the 10 of Swords. Rebirth here. You see there's a child sort of taming this lion, with a kind of sweet little song, and a camel that's a mountain. So one thing, something that may have looked like something, because this is a mountain, it's actually a camel. This is a lion, it's actually a fluting child. There may be a situation that to you appears in one way, but it's actually going to shift into something else. And you may see that starting to happen, that shift starting to happen this week. Or you may be in the process of transformation, and because there was a lot of cards talking about holding on to the past that have been coming up in readings, right? Where you are sort of subconsciously or unconsciously blocking your own evolution by worrying about it, right? 10 of Swords talks about endings, talks about anxiety, overthinking and almost like death by thought. The 10 of Swords normally in the tarot is kind of a ridiculous card because the guy's knocked out and he's got 10 swords in his back. And the swords is obviously mental energy. So it's something that you've thought to death or thought so much about it that it's actually like wiped you out. You don't even have the energy to think about it anymore. And so if there is a situation that you are obsessing over, this is advice to step back, to let it happen, right? To not let the thinking about it or worrying about it take you out, drain you of your energy, to find a more peaceful, serene way of looking at it, knowing that there is a transformation that's in process and will happen in due time, right? Things take time. Now, I mentioned that January was really sort of a strategy month. There's still some retrogrades. Uranus is going to go direct next week. February will also be, it's Pisces season. It's our 12th house. But, you know, once we move into March, things should really start picking up. All right, let's get the lesson energy here. Okay, perception, right? So this is talks about understanding and seeing things in a new light, understanding how all the pieces work together to open doors, right? So this talks about opening doors, crossing a threshold, moving into a new dimension. And that when the time is right, you will see things in a new light, in a way that allows you to open that door, right? Or like you may get some information or some activity or something may happen where you start to see signs of like what this is actually evolving into, that it looked like one thing, but actually it's turning into something else. And so you need to kind of give it time, that there's no need to sort of stress and be anxious over it, because the evolution is going to happen whether you worry about it or not. And so that there is a moment when things become crystal clear, literally, the crystal shining there, that is green, you know, so fourth chakra, and it's going to come from within. It's like within your heart, like you may have like a decision to make, or, you know, an offer that's been extended to you and you're like, I don't know what to do. Should I take it? Should I not? Like, what's it going to look like? What's it going to be? Is this a good thing for me? And this is really just about taking a step back and letting your heart provide you with the information that will allow you to open the right door or leave that door closed, as the case may be. Well, let's get some cards here. This table is so wobbly today. I don't know what's going on. I must have like set it up bad. I am in the middle of planning my trip to Japan. If anyone has recommendations, tips, things they think I should see in Osaka, Kyoto, and Tokyo, please leave them for me in the comments. All right, let's get 3 cards, please, for the week of January 21st. All right, there we go. All right, so we have the 6 of Swords, the 8 of Cups, the Queen of Swords, and the 9 of Cups. Interesting back and forth between, remember this was all about the mental energy and this was about listening to your heart, right? So there's a back and forth here between head and heart. Now, the 2 stories are pretty much the same. Talk about moving on. Moving on in a conscious and emotional way. Like you've put it in motion. And it also kind of says to me that like the thought I don't want to say the thought precedes the emotion. It's getting these 2 on the same page, right? Like having your thinking about the situation and how you're feeling about it line up and start moving in the same direction, right? And being discerning and satisfied, right? Like knowing what is right for you, knowing what is going to make you happy. Interesting that, you know, the 6 of Swords moves to the Queen, where she's kind of like identified. Now she knows. She's like, this is what I want, but I'm willing to hear you out. But he also, you know, he had an 8 and now he's at the 9. So he knows what he wants too. And so let's see, like, is that a 10? Like, are you coming with a 10? So very much about aligning, and we have these 2 koi fish here, right? About aligning heart and head to be on the same page. There may be one that's ahead of the other. You're thinking, you may be thinking it, but you need to get your emotional body on board, or vice versa. You may feel, you know how you feel, like you can sense how you feel about something, but you're trying to talk yourself out of it. And this says, don't do that. To really get them both on the same page, to trust how you feel or trust how you think, or have them start both moving in the same direction, right? Much like these little fish are here. That the transformation is happening, and that there needs to be some sort of sense of acceptance of that, right? So be willing to move the energies forward. But also, once you've decided to move the energies forward, being very clear on what you will and what you won't accept. That what you need and what you want. So, which is very nice, because it's like, this is like sun and moon lined up. This is very new moon energy to me, where the 2 luminaries are sort of aligned and they're both on the same page. And there they are, the sun and moon aligned, right? Because the sun is about our wants, the moon is about our needs. And this talks about that energy moving in the same direction, being very clear on what needs to not necessarily what needs to happen or what is happening, but what, there she is, but what is right for you. So trusting, if you're getting feelings of this isn't right for me, pay attention to that. Give that time to speak to you. If you're trying to like mentally go through the exercise of, does it sound like a good idea? What if I did it like this? What if I did it like that? Then also check in with your heart. So going through the 2, let's say, processes of analysis, mental and emotional, to understand where you are right now, what you're moving away from, and not necessarily, because you're not necessarily where you're going to be yet, but you know where you don't want to be. You have very clear boundaries on what you need and what you don't need. And so now it's just a matter of time of letting transformation take its time, flow towards you, and when the opportunity presents itself. Now, this feels very, remember I said Venus is at the galactic center, which is stuff just like kind of flowing through or flowing in. So there may be a woman that's sort of pivotal in your progression this week. Venus is also going to move into Capricorn, which is a show me the money transit that's happening. But some interesting energy here. Your exercise for this week is to make sure that your head and your heart are aligned on where you need to be moving right now. Now let's get some advice. Actually, I'm going to go with a different deck. Okay. Freedom. Guess that's where you're heading. So definitely breaking out of some old ways of thinking, ways of being, and there's a card. Let me see if I can find it here quickly. There's a card in this deck about being between 2 worlds. Let's see if I can find it rapidly. Of course, it won't be rapidly, but now I've said it, so I'm committed. There it is. This one about being between 2 worlds, and this is the same kind of energy that this card is giving me here. The idea that it's in motion, it's in place. And so there's this kind of like, I don't want to say limbo because it's not limbo, but mid-process where, you know, like that, like I said, the Pluto, he's out of the restaurant now. He's ready to go, but he's going to realize that he forgot his umbrella inside. But in the meantime, he's like still in a mid phase, right? Not entirely moved into this new dimension, not entirely exited this other one. So that's kind of like what's going on now. So the Freedom card here says your power is external, and yet you're held down by the heaviness of burdens tied into emotional commitment. And that's interesting because that's these two cards, right? Like moving on, freeing yourself from something mentally and consciously. Somebody fears your power, having recognized your full potential on all levels, and has led you to buy into false doubt, worry, and insecurity. Restriction and control has dimmed your spirit and suffocated the expression of your soul. It's time to fly the nest and release yourself from those who have clipped your wings. And that's very much, I was thinking as I started this reading, you know, one of the big things that Pluto and Aquarius is going to do is probably change your friend group, because that's a transformation of your tribe, your people. And so you may actually be moving away from people that you've understood that the future, your future doesn't include certain people. Each of us has been gifted with free will. So rise freely above anything that's imprisoned you and allow your loaded mind to be liberated as your heart and soul soar to new heights. Let's see what this says. So it says, step into your authenticity, trust your intuition and go with what feels right. Exercise your freedom of speech, release judgment of yourself and others, and finally, your destiny awaits. Okay, very nice reading. Hope this was helpful for you, and I shall see you at the next one next week. Take care.